Welcome back to Code Grasper. In this video, we are going to break down the most important Spring Boot annotations like the Spring Boot application, component, service, repository, controller, and many more. Whether you are a beginner or refreshing your Spring Boot knowledge, this video will definitely help you for all this brush up your knowledge. So let's begin with the main annotation, which is Spring Boot application at the rate Spring Boot application. So which is annotated for our main class. So it is a combination of three annotations, which is configuration, enable auto configuration, and component scan. First of all, we will see what is the use of configuration. Whenever you annotate any class with a configuration annotation, so it marks the class as the source of bean definitions. For example, if you want to define any bean, so what we are going to do, we need to define that bean in a class. So for that we need a class, right? So for that class we are going to annotate at the rate configuration. If you annotate any of the class with at the rate configuration, so that class will gives you the feasibility to define beans inside of it. So this is the main use of configuration annotation. Coming to the second one, enable auto configuration. What it will do, it automatically configures Spring app based on the dependencies. And the third one, which is component scan. Component scan is nothing but the scans for the components in the current and subdirectories, which means, let me explain in detail for this component scan. So currently we have com.learn.ecommerce package. Okay, let me create one more package inside of it. Let's say we create the controller package. Okay, so instead of the controller, I'm going to define my controller class. So let's say it's learn controller. Okay, so if it is a controller, I'm going to annotate with at the rate trust controller, right? So whenever you annotate this class with the at the rate controller, so the dependency for this, the object for this class is going to create in the container. So who will going to first of all, how it will identify for this class, it needs to create the bean. So further the component scan is going to help. So under the packages which are under this e-commerce, okay, so the classes which are lie inside of those packages, which are going to scan and create the beans for those classes. This is the use of component scan. Okay, so next, for a summarizing, I'm going to this summarize the Spring Boot application, which is a combination of three annotations. The first one is configuration, and the second one is enable auto configuration, and the third one is the component scan. This is a very important interview question that you should, if you are a beginner of or some mid-level experienced guy, so in your interviews definitely they will shoot this question: what are the three combinations of a Spring Boot application. Okay, so just keep an eye and remember this one. Okay, so next we are going to dive into the one more annotation, which is component. So generic stereotype annotation for the Spring managed components are: Spring automatically detects the classes annotated with at the rate component and register them as a beans. Let's say we have, if you want any class to be act as a bean. Okay, so for that what we need to do, let's say we will take one more package, which is, let's say, util. So inside of the utilities, I'm going to define one class. Okay, so which is like my helper. This is a helper class. Okay, so this helper class, if you want to make it as a bean, just make it as a component. That's all. So inside of these methods, we can give, let's say we can say public void just helper, and which returns sorry, so which prints that I'm a helper method. Okay, so whenever you annotate a class with the at the rate component, what it will do, it Spring automatically detect the class with component and register them as the beans. Okay, so next one, the very important one, which is we need to speak about the stereotype annotations. We have mainly four stereotype annotations are there. In that, the first one is the controller or rest controller. Okay, so what this rest controller will do? So rest controller will do like it it is a shortcut, it is also a combination of two annotations, which is the controller plus response body. It tells the spring to return data. Usually you will return in the JSON format, so not as a view. But if you annotate the class with the controller, what it will do, it will use it to define the web controllers that handle HTTP requests. Basically it will works with the spring MVC. It will return the like some JSPs or HTML files, not in the like the return type is not as a usual JSON. So this is the main difference between the controller and rest controller. Coming to our controller, so which is used to define, if you define any class with at the rate rest controller, it is going to handle and manage the HTTP requests and return data based upon the requirement. Okay, so the next one, which is at the rate service. So at the rate service is mainly it is a specialization of at the rate component used for service layer classes. Like if you want to write any business logic in your application, so we are going to create one class and we are going to annotate that class with the at the rate service. In that service class we are going to write our business logic. Let's say under the e-commerce we need to create one more package, which is service package. Okay, so inside of the service package you need to create one class which is learn service. Okay, so this is the learn service. So I'm going to annotate this with at the rate service. So this class will act as a service layer. By if you see any class with the at the rate service, so we can immediately identify, okay, this is the service class, this is where you are going to write our business logic. Let's say if you want to write any things like public string get something get name. Okay, we are going to return I am a service class method. I am a service class method. So here like this we can write any of the methods. We can define our business logic, we can implement our business logic inside of the method, and we can return the based upon our requirement. So how this is the service layer. So next the annotation is, which is repository. So repository is mainly used to like it is the another specialization of component used to like we will call as DAOs, like data access object classes. Like it interacts with the databases and it will fetch the data from the database and gives to our application. In the vice versa, it takes the data from our application and it is going to persist in the database. Like it is simply, it enables like the transportation between the, simply it's a bridge between the database and our application. So let's see how to create a repository class. So we need to take one more package. Why? Because I am taking all these packages, I don't want to club all these classes in a single package to confuse you. So it is a basic very standard structure to create all these things. So I'm going to learn repository. Okay, learn repository. So to create this learn repository, oh, I need to refactor rename file. It's repository, it's repository. Yeah, so sorry, let's save delete the class and create again instead of this. Learn repository, learn repository. Yeah, but actually we shouldn't create this as a class. The repository should always be as a, first of all basically we will use it as a interface. Why? Because here we are only defining the abstract methods and we are going to implement in our which is going to extend with the JPI repository. So those methods we are going to use in our service classes. So I'm going to save delete this one. Okay. Yeah, here I'm going to save delete. I'm going to create the interface, not the class. We need to create the interface like learn repository, and it should be a interface. Okay, so this interface is going to extend the jp repository or crud repository, which the topic we are going to discuss later. But for now, so if you have any repository class, we need to create the interface and you need to annotate with the repository. This is the annotation which we need to. So this repository class is going to interact with the database and fetch the data from the database and provides to the application. From the application it will get the data and persist into the database. That is the thing which is going to handle by the this interface repository. And one more thing, how it is going to, like, how here we have created the class, how it will gives the data to our application, right? So here we have the service class, right? We have an annotation called auto wide. So what the auto wire will do, it is going to auto wire, like auto wire the bean, it is going to auto wire the depend, it will do the dependency injection. Currently I'm doing here field dependency injection. Okay, let's say we have private, oh shit, private learn repository, let's say it is as a repo. Okay, so what the, so we already discussed it, right? The component scan will happen. So what in the component scan, this repository class got one bean created in the container. That container, that bean is going to inject into this field by using this auto wide annotation. So we have different types of injections are there: depend injections, that is setter injection, construction injection, and this field injection. So here I'm using field injection. Okay, so using this method, we this variable or this thing, we are going to access the methods inside of it. Okay, inside the repository we can access by using this repo, right? So coming to the next annotation, which is the qualifier annotation. So qualifier annotation is mainly used with along with the auto white to resolve the ambiguity when multiple beans of the same type exits. Let's say we have a requirement like we need to add two different databases. We need to configure two different databases into our application. Let's say we have an MongoDB and we have a Oracle DB. So we want the both DBs to be configured into our application. Now the auto configuration handles only one database, but here what we need to do, we need to use according to our requirement. Like in some classes we need to process the data to the MongoDB, in some classes we need to pass the data into the Oracle DB. So in this scenario, the qualifier annotation will comes to the picture. What it will do, it will gives you the solution to resolve the ambiguity problem. So both are databases, so we can we can use any one of the database according to requirement. So here we are going to use some annotations like @primary and @qualifier, these annotations. Okay, so this in the qualifier annotation, instead of that annotation we are going to provide the bean name. So based upon the bean name it will get the object, and it is going to uh, persist the data based upon the based to that object, like to whatever the bean we have uh, kept in the qualifier annotation, right? So in to that object it is going to do the necessary functionality, do the necessary functionalities. So coming to the next annotation, which is @value. So @value annotation is basically used for, we have this property files, right? Let's say in the resource folder we have these properties, right? So here, so if you want any property like let's say we have a property like some constant like aws username. So let's say it's a constant aws username. So aws username is something ASD something ASDER. Okay, so we want this value, this AWS username, into our service class. How we are going to do? We need the annotation, right? This value annotation. We are going to use this value annotation to read the properties from the property file into the service class. We are going to use @value. So instead of the value, we need to pass like this. Okay, So here we need to pass this key, whatever the key we gave here, like aws dot username. This is the key we gave here, right? So that key we need to pass instead of this. So it's a string value. So we are going to use private string aws username. So you can easily get the, if you print this or if you use this variable you will get, so the property value which is specified defined here is going to binded into this variable now by using this at the rate value. This is also very important interview question, like they will ask how you will read the properties from the property file. So then you can say by using the at the rate value. Or one more thing we have, that is at the rate environment. We can auto write the class which is the environment class which is available in the Spring. Okay, let's say env. So if you use this env, so instead of this env we have a method called get env. So env dot get property. So we have this, right? So instead of this get property, if you pass this aws username, okay, command c, command b, okay, you will get this value like the aws username instead of this aws usr name. So we can access in these two ways. You can read the properties in two different ways. One is the at the rate value and another one is the auto wiring the environment class, which is already, it is a inbuilt class in the Spring Boot which is coming from the arc springware core environments. Okay, these are the main annotations. And one more thing, the annotation which is the bean annotation. Okay, we have created one helper class, right? So here if you want to create any bean, so if let's say we want this helper class as a bean, so let's say we can annotate this like we have the rest template, right? Rest template is basically used to call the one microservice to another microservice. So we want that rest template bean. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give bean here. Okay, I'm going to give public rest template. Okay, get rest template here. So I'm going to return new rest template. Okay, so whenever anyone wants the rest template object, they just need to, this was initialized while starting the application itself. So this rest template whenever someone invokes this method, it will gives you the rest template object, and by using that object we can interact with the microservices. These are the some of the annotations, basic annotations which we can answer in any of the interview questions. Let's say now if any interviewer asks you, can you explain about some annotations which you use vastly in your Spring Boot application, you can simply refer this video. You can understand the video, so keep it in your mind and you can easily answer. If you explain them with these examples, the interviewer definitely gives you a good marks. Okay, so yeah, that's all from today. We will see some more annotations in the next video. Why? Because it is getting long. So in the next video we will discuss some more like advanced annotations which are used in the Spring Boot application. That's all for now. So in the previous videos, if you have any doubts or if you stuck somewhere, so please let me know in the comments, or else I have provided my mail address in the description. You can mail your queries or your doubts in that to that mail address. I will reply, definitely reply to those all your doubts and all. And one more thing, this entire source which are came, I'm going to push to the GitHub, which is a private public repository. I'm providing that repository URL in the description itself. You can check out these codes in the GitHub as well. Okay, thank you very much. If you find this video very helpful, or if you learn anything from this video, please do like, subscribe and share to your friends. Okay, so that's all from for today. So yeah, keep grasping with this code grasper. Thank you.